All right, thanks so much, Connor. Hey everyone, I'm grateful that you've joined. You're probably going, where am I? Unfortunately, Heather was unable to join, but hopefully you're here because you know that the topic is around Viva Topics. So I'm going to walk you through Viva Topics. I'm going to give an overview. I'm going to do a demo. I'm going to talk to you about how you actually get going on it from an administrative portion. I think this fits well in the automation track. And the reason for that is because Viva Topics really uses artificial intelligence, which is automation. So with that, I'll go ahead and share my screen. All right, again, welcome. I'm so happy that you guys have joined us. Like I said, and I keep saying, I hope you're all in like your PJs on the couch, eating popcorn, relaxing, taking a learning day from work, not multitasking, just kind of enjoying our event. Again, thank you for joining, and thanks to all the sponsors. We could not do this without you, which is providing our grand prize giveaway as well as our $25 gift cards. So I'm going to walk you through kind of a deployment guide. I'm going to show you what Topics is in a demo environment. I'm going to show you administratively how you are able to start using Topics today. So if you are an admin, I'd love to learn, if you've already set it up, and show you how you can set it up if you haven't. So let me first start off with just talking about what is the employee experience platform. Microsoft rolled this out back in February of 2021, and it was really around creating a space to better connect to people. We know at Microsoft, there's a new hybrid work model that you need to create. The biggest thing is that we need to connect to people. We need to improve our places and, of course, our processes. And especially all of you that are at home, I know I am today. I have a cat behind me, much like our keynote had. Content now may join us later. We'll never know. I've heard people say it's my feline and canine coworker. Pretty funny, but the employee experience platform is really made up of how to connect you better to your mission goals of your organization. Things like you just started. I have many colleagues at Microsoft that have started throughout this pandemic that haven't even met their team. So how do we create an experience that they can ramp up easily with learning? They can connect easily on a mobile device inside of Microsoft Teams to their SharePoint intranet, which I've covered before. How can we learn our work-life balance when it comes to insights? And then where do we find knowledge and expertise? So that's what we call our Microsoft Employee Experience Platform, branded as Microsoft Viva. We are first starting off with these 4 modules. And as you can see, each module is actually inside of Microsoft Teams. As you can tell probably from the GUI there, they're an app. They're a Microsoft first-party app that you can deploy as you see fit whenever your timeline allows. The first one being that company branded app, your SharePoint intranet. Viva Insights, which actually came from My Analytics, as well as Workplace Analytics. And the last one, because I'll come back to the third, is Viva Learning. And that is a learning aggregator. So it's not to replace your LMS or rip out anything you've already done. If you have LinkedIn Learning that you're using, or you have your SharePoint training, it's all in your SharePoint online sites, you can hook that up and connect it inside of Viva Learning. We did announce at Ignite that we are rolling out Viva Learning with a base, much like we have with Insights, that's going to be connected to places like MS Learn. I believe thousands of courses at LinkedIn Learning, and then M365 apps. So if you have an LMS and you want to connect it here, you can do that in the M365 Admin Center, and it's really toggle switches. We're always trying to connect with partners, and so things like EDX, if you use that, Pluralsight, SAP, Coursera. Let's see, I think there's just so many others that we're rolling it out with, but we are always connecting more to partners who are using those LMS systems. Now, the one I want to talk about today is around Viva Topics. I'm going to just cruise through, not walk through the value of each of them, but I am going to walk through the value of topics. And it's really about employees finding information as quickly as possible. again, going back to what I mentioned around, we don't feel connected because we're not connected physically. But what about a new employee being onboarded? Or what about a new person who's being added to a project? How do they easily ramp up? How do they find the files, the experts? Do they go into the SharePoint site? Is there already a team site? We're trying to really create a space that brings all that information together. And as well as if you have questions on that particular project or topic, deliver that to you in an easy way. Get your questions directed to those experts and then get those questions answered by those experts. So the use cases here are flattening the learning curve as employees join for new teams, new projects, establish communities of practice and experts, optimize employees' time by reducing search. And I will talk about what really that means in the studies we've done at Microsoft. And then unlocking collective knowledge. In the past, I have actually been in quite a few different types of industries. One of them was a law firm. And in the legal industry, almost every firm has what's called a knowledge management committee. And within that committee, you're trying to always collect where are all the data sources? Where are people going to find information? How do we streamline it? How do we make it easy? And that's really, I think, what Viva Topics answers. So in some of the surveys that we've done, we've seen our research showing that people spend about an hour a day, think of that, an hour, up to 7 weeks a year, searching for or recreating information. 7 weeks, that's over a month of just going to try to find where is that information. We search in our Outlook, of course. We go to SharePoint, we go to Teams. We hate search in different places. We wish it was all better. We have to probably go out to our file shares and maybe other systems as well. But we're always searching. Where did I see it? How do I get to it? And of course, in Outlook, we're trying to improve that. We're bringing in contextual things. Like if you put in a name of something, it will bring up meetings related to that, files related to that, people related to that. So we're trying to improve. However, what about if you're in context in a team, or you're in SharePoint, or you're in Word, and you're reading through something, you're like, I have no idea that acronym. Wait, I think on our intranet, we have an acronym list. It shows everything related to kind of in our organization, our short terms we use. If you're at Microsoft, your mind would probably be blown by the amount of different acronyms that we have. Short things, short names, project names that become a product name, that become then another product name. It is really difficult to keep up. And I know that's for me. So it's not surprising to hear we do spend 7 weeks. That's a month and 2 weeks, maybe more, depending on the month, looking for information. And we're really trying to solve that. So within Viva Topics, it's really around turning that content into usable knowledge. Giving you access to it when and where you're working, and having kind of this organizational concept of having that knowledge right where you're working. And then, of course, making it easy to discover, easy to use, making it relevant for you. I ache in this, especially as we talk about how do you get to this information. I ache in it to our contact cards. Now, you may not know what that terminology is, but you've used it, because if you hover over a person in any way, shape, or form, whether you're in Teams or you're in Outlook, you can hover even in SharePoint over the person and you get a contact card. So you may not have known, but yep, that is a contact card. You get their information, like first off their name. You can quickly have links to message them. You can email them. You can probably find them on LinkedIn. You see their location, you see their title. Hopefully it's a good one and not a broad one that you go, I have no idea what that means. But you get more information. And what we're trying to do in that space is connect people together more easily. But now we've taken it to a whole new level of using artificial intelligence to crawl all of your SharePoint content and deliver what we call a topic card. And I'm going to walk you through what that means. So let's go ahead and move right into demo. I'm hoping to deliver as much demo stuff you can as you want to see. I also will show you a roadmap. I'll go in what you need to know as an admin, And then I'll go through maybe a program approach, how depending on how far we go inside of the session and how many questions. So Connor, if there's questions, I'd probably be right in demo mode and won't see them. So feel free. And of course, come off mute. This is a Teams meeting. We are not doing live events for that mere purpose of having people be interactive. So feel free, cut me off. I'm totally comfortable with that. All right, moving into our demo. This is really an environment that Viva Topics has already been stood up. And by the way, it is available today. And what you're going to see here is the experience of using topics. So what happens when a topic has been published by an author, and I'll show you and I'll talk through what that is that you're going to get a word or an acronym underlined. It may be a black underline, it may even be gray. I'm not really sure. I've seen it a couple different ways. But when I click on it, much like if I click over a person, you get that people contact card. You're going to do the same thing, but you're going to get a topic card. So I went ahead, I clicked on it. I can see here it's got a title. It has an alternative name because I'm sure you're much like everyone else in organizations. You have a few names for the same thing. Well, for a new employee, imagine how difficult that can be. You have perhaps a description of what that is, and you have people who are associated to it. So those are perhaps experts. And then you also have resources. Maybe it's a site, maybe it's files. So I'm going to go ahead, once I look at that and I think, hey, you know what? I would like to learn more about that. I can click on it. So unlike the contact card, you can't do that. But with the topic card, when you click on it, now you're going to a SharePoint topic page. If I click on it, you can see here, this is in editable mode because I am an author. That's why you see edit. You won't see that in the user experience. So if I click on here, you can see Viva Topics able to identify acronyms and then also provide automatically maybe an acronym that it's seen to things like on-time delivery is OTD. And then it has experts. So topics really is identifying people associated with that topic through activity, through files. It knows who the authors are. It's all using the Graph API, connecting all those dots. Let me see if there's some questions here. I love Ernesto. I'm glad you joined. I haven't set it up, but tracing the roadmap for Viva Topics, I will show you how to set it up because you can get a 30-day trial, but it may take a couple of weeks for some of your topics to come about so you can start reviewing them. And I think any organization, hands down, could start doing this today because you can learn what are those topics and how well would they be valued or used within your company. Topic cards are customizable with JSON. Nope, we're using SharePoint. This is all SharePoint. Now, will there be probably the ability to do it? You know, it's hard to say right now. Currently, these topic cards are not editable in a JSON format, but you may have to go to a developer track to kind of learn if there is anything on the roadmap. And the topic page is generated when the topic author publishes it. So just to note, I'll show you what all that looks like inside of the Topic Center right after the demo. All right, so it does find experts. As I click on experts, I can see who might be related to it. And then we have files. Again, I like to say these topics are a lot like Wikipedia for your enterprise, meaning the AI first builds up the page by crawling all your content. It knows the title. It knows files related because we have OCR. It reads through all the content. Maybe it's a 2,000-page Word document. If that word is in there, it most likely will be related here in the files section. You can also do things like pinning. So you could pin a file that may be the most important topic. Maybe it's the latest file related to a contract, or it's a PowerPoint document on the latest dashboard related to the project. So you can do things like that. That can all be authored. And as you see here, I'm going to open up this PowerPoint, and you can see on-time delivery. That word and those words are in here, and it knew that. And it doesn't need to be on the title slide. It can be anywhere within the PowerPoint, within a Word document, and it can be added based on that automatically. Now I get the question, can I remove it? I really don't think that that particular file is relatable back to the project. Absolutely, you can remove them, no problem. As a topic author, you can go ahead, curate the topic page according to if it's relevant or not. Now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to take a look at, it does provide me a related site. So it shows me, hey, we already have a site named this. So I think about all those admins out there, and I know we're in an automation track, all those admins that are like, why do we have two sites named almost the same? Well, now you can do a little cleanup. So it gives you some advantages in that realm as well. But let's take a look. This is really the Graph API showing you visually how they are connecting projects or topics all together. So it shows the topic on the page, and then it shows topics that could be related to it. So it's really pretty fascinating how this is happening, but it's using identifying those connections between those topics. Now, I don't think I have in this demo the Q&A portion. I think it might be in the published portion, but what you can also do when you come to a topic page is you can ask it a question, and it's using Yammer question and answer. Some of you out there might say, well, do I need to have Yammer in order to utilize this? No, not at all. This is just taking a portion of Yammer capabilities and bringing it into that topic page. And what's great about that is, let's say you're a new user, you just got added to this project, you have a question, you can go ahead, you can ask the question. And if you recall, there are experts that are a part of that topic. Those people will get that question. And if somebody has that same question, AI will automatically remember the question and the answer and feed that back. So the experts will not be notified again. Does topics also add the topic reference and comments in the SharePoint pages? Not positive on that, but I know it does scour SharePoint pages, SharePoint sites, all the files and lists that are inside of the pages. So I think that might answer it, but I haven't quite tested it, as this is pretty new to me too. Okay, so now what does it look like if I'm a topic author? I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to edit it. I could do things like, you know what? It's also called on time or on time delivery initiative. So whatever you think is associated, you can create these alternative names. You can then add in another short description or add on top of it. So remember, AI is building it for you as a first draft. No one can see it when it is in draft mode. Like any other SharePoint page, you have to give people permission. And you see here, there might be an additional person that you might want to add as an expert or remove somebody, especially as I think the experts may be coming from who was the person who created the document or modified the document. That doesn't always make them an expert. So there might be a little curation or massaging of the data you might want to do for the topic card. Now here, I think I talked to you about you can pin. Much like the capabilities in SharePoint today, you can pin pages on any document library. When you do that, it goes right up to the top. And that just lets everybody know these are the most current and relevant files that we're working through on this particular document. And we'll keep on scrolling down. And now you can also add additional topics. So you're not just limited to, oh, there is another topic, because for this particular on-time delivery, we do have another project that's going to be a sub-project of it. And you can go ahead and add that here. So I'm going to go ahead and
question from Ernesto. Does topics also add the topic reference and comments in SharePoint pages?
Yeah, I did answer that, Connor. It's the comments in SharePoint pages. I'd have to dig in. It does, like I said, do SharePoint documents, SharePoint pages, so all your content on the page. Comments sometimes, and I'm not sure, maybe you could articulate more, Ernesto. Comments can be kind of across the board. They could be comments just internally for page authoring and you have a subgroup that you're doing comments on. Comments, when I think of comments, and that's why it's a little hard for me to answer. Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, Excel, they also have comments, a comment section. So there's multiple places. I'm not sure if they're pulling them up. So that one, hard for me to answer, but I'm not sure if out of the gate it's quite doing that. Okay, so now I'm going over and just showing you the experience. I first showed you the experience in Microsoft Teams, and within Microsoft Teams, you could see that if the content actually said the name on time delivery or SOAR, Project SOAR, whatever, it would automatically have an underline. Well, the same is true in SharePoint. So if you created a SharePoint site page and you happen to reference a topic, maybe you didn't even know you were referencing one, but as you type, it actually gets created for you and automatically underlined. You do not have to figure this out. This is something that's called knowledge management and knowledge distribution. And so if I go ahead, I create a page, expanding the initiative, I'm sending it out to everyone. I use the term on-time delivery. Now automatically, anyone who receives this communication or reads this newsletter or news digest, however you're pushing out your news from SharePoint, will then see this. So whether they're in Outlook and they're reading it in their news digest from a SharePoint news digest that you sent out, they can go through, read it in the email, see this, have it be underlined, go ahead, click on it. I see my contact card. I read information about it. So again, it's showing up in SharePoint pages. And then if I want to go ahead, I can click on it and go to what we call the Topic Center page. So we have created these for you. Can you author, topic, define a target audience for a topic? So that's interesting because I know that Ernesto was in my last session on Viva Connections. And Viva Connections is something you have to be very specific and planful around who can see that information. Now, within Viva Topics, it inherits where the SharePoint permission already occurs. So Ernesto, Connor, and I, we're all looking at the same topic center. We may not see the same topic names. And the reason for that is that Connor and I could be in a project group together that Ernesto's not in. And Ernesto could be dealing with a divestiture that Connor and I have nothing, we have no idea about. So all of this is utilizing and inheriting permissions from what we already have access to within our SharePoint sites. So really important to note, and I appreciate you asking that question because it does respect the permissions of SharePoint. And if you can't tell, the data needs to be in SharePoint in order to actually leverage Viva Topics. And not SharePoint Modern, it can be SharePoint Classic and Modern. So unlike Viva Connections, where you have to have a modern communication site, you can be using team sites, modern sites, classic, doesn't really matter. Viva Topics will crawl that data. All right, so when we finally listed these topics, you can either create your own, because mind you, you don't have to be a slave to what the AI created for you. You can create your own too. So in here, I can go ahead, I can create a topic page, which will then create that topic card. And then I can manage my topics. So let's go and take a look. When you light this up inside of your tenant, this will probably be, depending on the amount of data, I always like to say, if you have a lot of data, it may take a couple weeks to start building the data. Once it builds it, it's going to be in the suggested section. It will never be these 4 items, by the way. It'll be probably hundreds of items, but you'll be able to go in here and then you can go ahead and say, yeah, it's confirmed. So AI suggests your first draft, and then you can confirm it, or you can remove it, and then you can publish it. So you can make that decision for yourself based on going through, fine comb tooth, look at it all, go, yep, looks great, let's go ahead. My rule of thumb is to first go ahead, roll it out with about 25 of your major topics that you utilize inside of your organization, and then make that easy. That's low-hanging fruit. And the rest, you may have someone that may have to go do that legwork. I always suggest it could be an HR, it could be an intern that's saying, hey, this is a great topic. I'm going to go to the program manager. Are these the experts? Are these the right files? Should we add anything? Should we pin something? So there is a little massaging, like I said, after, if you think you need to. Like I said, AI creates that first draft. So then from here, we can go ahead, go over to the topic center. And within the topic center right here, it creates a new page. So from here, I'm going to actually just now pivot. I'm going to show you what's the administrative requirements around using Viva Topics. So the first thing you need to do, you first need to go into the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. And well, one of two things. If you do not have it licensed, then I would suggest doing the free trial. Again, we're talking 30 days. I think of December to be the best time to do trialing. People are on vacation, they're on holiday. It gives you a chance to let things build up, and then you can start playing with it. So you can also, if you don't get everything you wanted accomplished in 30 days, you could talk to, if you have a commercial an enterprise agreement with Microsoft, you can most likely get that extended even further if you need more time. So I guess maybe I'll first start off, instead of the settings for topic experiences, how do you get this into your tenant today? Super easy. Under billing, go to purchase services. No, I'm not going to purchase anything. I'm going to use a free trial. And I can just go ahead and go into the search. I can look up Viva Topics, and I can see a few things here around Viva. And here I can see it does say $4 per user per month, and that's not what we want. We want it to be free. I'm going to go ahead and click on details, and I just want to let you know everything that you're seeing here, that's all retail price. Meaning if you already have an account with Microsoft, depending on how many seats you have, it could be very much reduced from there. But I want to start a free trial. So I could go ahead, click on free trial, and it will give me, well, it used to be 30 days. So happy to know Microsoft made the change on me, moving my cheese. It is a 60-day. They must have found out that people have a lot of content in SharePoint and needed to extend that. So fantastic to hear, and also announce for you guys that it's a little bit longer. All right, so you get 50 users that can do it. And when I say users, I'm not saying consumers. I'm saying when you're going to do something like this, you would want to pilot this type of environment, right? You'd want to have your, I always say your M365 stakeholders, whoever your governance team, maybe your champions program, and maybe you're small, you just have a 5-person deployment team. Cool. Take that, license that for those folks, and then get trialing. They will only be the ones who see it. So it will limit based on who you assign this trial to that small group of people. Now let's get out of here. And of course, you'll probably need to be a global admin or some sort to be able to get that trial going. And then of course, assigning. So don't forget the assigning portion, really important in your user area. Well, maybe I'm going to connect Adele. It looks like she already has topics, which is great. So I'm going to go into licenses and apps for Adele. I'm going to go and scroll down, find the topics. It's going to be an app. And there's a lot to sift through here. That's okay. And it might be under Microsoft Viva Topics. There you go. And then just check mark. And most likely that will say trial. I believe she is fully licensed. So just look for the naming. If you haven't bought it, you won't see it in any other way than probably a trial. All right, now let's go set it up. We set it up in the M365 Admin Center. We go into org settings and we scroll on down. By default, we have 3 tabs. We first start with services. So as we scroll down here, we can see we've got topic experiences. I'm going to say, Ernesto, it probably is a global admin because a global admin is the person who assigns licenses, unless you have more granular control and a person that has a license administration. But the license administrator may not actually have the ability to do the topic experiences. So now let's click on over here. And we have 4 tabs. So we have topic discovery. This is really setting your data source. Think of those sites that know that it's like highly confidential. You don't want anything touching it. It's really understanding your SharePoint environment, of course, but knowing what data sources are the right ones. I don't have any highly confidential ones inside of my demo environment. So for me, pretty easy. I can say all sites. However, you may have all except only selected or no sites. Now, when you say no sites, I'm not sure what it will crawl. I don't think it will crawl anything. So it's kind of a funny option. But this is what it would look like if we said, you know what, I want some sites. Maybe I want, benefits. And I don't want to include some, or I can even browse and go get a completed list. But for now, I'm just going to say all, and I'll go ahead and cancel out of that. So that's really your topic discovery. You may want to exclude topics. I think of this, I kind of akin it, if you're familiar with naming conventions and teams, in Azure Active Directory, we have the ability to have a keyword or block keyword list. So you couldn't create a team with a name of something. Maybe it's a name of a competitor. Maybe it's a swear word. Maybe it's the name of your C-suite people. Whatever the case, you can block teams from being named those things. Well, in this scenario, you can block topics, especially if we're talking about when you're investing or divesting, acquiring companies, or having certain projects for those products that you haven't rolled out and it's secret privacy. So think of all of that. You can block all of that if you need to. Then we have topic visibility. Who can see it? If you're doing a pilot, absolutely you don't want everyone to see it. And frankly, because they're not licensed, I don't believe they can, but I could definitely be corrected there. So I would say one of the first things when you're setting this up, who is on your deployment team? Create your team that's going to be monitoring this and reviewing it. Like I said earlier, this could be some champs, some business line leaders or liaisons. It could be your stakeholders. It certainly could be your deployment team. Hopefully all your SharePoint team, maybe your Teams team. Create a security group for that. And maybe you already have one, but these will be your topic testers or your topic reviewers. So you can go out and you can say only people in this particular group. So when I put my cursor in here, it's going to give me people or security groups based on the top 500, I believe, that I have in my Active Directory. So if I wanted a group that was all related to maybe a Microsoft service account, maybe I just wanted the service account to have access. That might not be a great use case, but maybe everybody in engineering. Engineers are going to be managing and taking a look at this. Maybe the SharePoint engineers are first going to look at it. So I could certainly do that. You could say no one. If you are a smaller company, you don't want anybody to see it except yourself because you log in maybe as a global admin. Go ahead and say no one. Now, topic permissions. What's interesting here is you can have different roles. And this is a new space for SharePoint where you can have different topic authors and editors. So a whole new role. We love to keep on adding new roles to Microsoft 365. Here's some additional ones. Who can create and edit the topics. So again, you can have very selected people. So when you're planning this, you want to make sure who's going to see it, who is going to then create and edit the topics, as well as, let me get to the other one, who can manage them. That means they've already been created, maybe they've been published, but who can go back in and add those experts? It gets a little granular here. You don't have to think of it as you have to be granular. I think the SharePoint team could represent it really well, and you wouldn't need to worry about having these separate roles. Where it comes into a value add is around organizations that are large and organizations that already have knowledge management. They have roles already. They have people that are already managing topics or data sources, or they're also editing things. You may already have a knowledge management application you're using. So you don't have to use these, but they are available because we want to match and make sure whatever type of organization size you are in, you can do the things you need to do with the granular controls that you need. All right, then we have Topic Center. So this is actually creating a site within your SharePoint environment. You can name it. So here it's just called Topic Center. That might not be very relevant. You may want to call it your intranet name and KB, or Knowledge Center, Knowledge Base, Wikipedia. You could call it your Wikipedia. So it's interesting that I've seen people call it, various things from their Wikipedia, their like intranet -KB. So, think of the naming. You want it to be as, rolling off the tongue as easy as you can, but short too, because remember, it will create a URL in SharePoint.
Hey, Michelle, Ernesto's got a actually really good question. What would be a logical separation or split between content management for IT and responsibility for topics?
Yeah, that's a great question. I see that actually in a company that is rolling out topics, but they have business liaisons from IT. We have, I think there were 4 different business groups that wanted to utilize this in creating topic centers for their own business groups, for onboarding, for project management, that sort of thing. So kind of the logical separation or split between content management is IT doesn't know the content, right? So to me, logically, it should be owned by the group that wants that knowledge management space. And this not necessarily, even though some of these toggle switches are in the admin center, this is really for the business. Sure, IT can use it and make it a cool, great asset, knowledge-based library for everything they do. But guess what? So does a training department. They want a knowledge base. So does some business groups, maybe even sales groups. How quickly can I get to sales plays and pitch decks? How will I know who last worked with this customer? So trying to connect all that together, that's not necessarily, to me, fundamentally IT's role. So knowing, and I guess I would suggest here is, if you are interested in Viva Topics, once you do your initial trial and you think it's cool, it's got some really great information, now it's bringing it back to the business and going through a Viva Topics workshop, learning about all the use cases that you could do within your organization to separate out and have centers that are centers of space that business groups can use to help, I guess, with their knowledge management, their knowledge tracking, their onboarding, their movement of people between departments. So that's really where I see it. I know the responsibilities can be difficult. This is why we have, going back to topic permissions, you may find that people who know nothing about SharePoint will actually be a topic author, and they may be a topic editor. And the reason for that is because, again, this shouldn't be owned by IT in the regard of they may not know what the business group's data is. So again, that's where these granular controls can come in, especially in larger organizations. Hopefully I helped answer that. I think initially I see topics as something IT wants to light up to take a look, like, what is that stuff? Yeah, I don't believe so, Ernesto, around are there any plans to introduce retention or expiration dates for topics? Now realize this all in the back end sits on SharePoint. You already have retention and expiration that you can utilize in those sites. So those will still apply. The topic cards, if you're showing 5 files, but one is going to be expired, then it will only show 4 when it does. So I don't think topic cards, much like Teams. So I don't know if you have seen kind of this concept that nothing actually lives in Teams. I don't know if anything really will be living in these topic cards. These are AI driven, that's scoured and gathered and collected through all the content sources and served up to you in a way that's consumable. So as far as retention, I can't believe or couldn't believe that there would be. It's a great question. I feel like the answer will be more around you managing the topics, because there's a managed topics area, and then working with those experts that are part of that project or that topic, determining from there if that should be expired, then going and moving that manually. Now, what I would see is perhaps Power Automate connecting to the topic cards maybe in the future to go out, ask the experts if the topic is still valid. If not, move it to being discarded. That to me sounds a little bit more logical than actually setting expirations on each individually topic. So interesting. I'd be interested to see how that's going to play out. Topics is so new, but I will show you a roadmap of what is to come that I was able to grab from Chris McNulty yesterday on Teams Day Online. So it may have a couple of things in there. I don't think we're quite ready for that level of sophistication inside of these yet. All right, so Ashley says, if we already set it up with discovery across all sites, can we go back and restrict it to certain sites? We have some old irrelevant sites from business lines that we've divested 2 years ago. Yeah, I don't see why not. It's really, if you're saying, I want to see topic discovery, you should be able to, inside of here, go in and change your data sources. Now, that's going to recrawl again. So you may have to go in and unfortunately probably unpublish those topics that are not relevant anymore. So just probably a caveat there, because once published, obviously it's not a part of the new crawl. So it's something you may have to do. All right, so now we've created our topic center. I'm going to get out of this demo environment and I'm going to show you another demo environment. I love being multiple people. Actually, let me share one more thing. Let me actually go into what you do see here. I think that might be a little bit more relevant. All right. There we go. So I created a topic center. First off, I lit up my trial. I assigned my trial to different people. I've added permissions and topics. I've set everything up to go to the data source. I was patient for a couple weeks, hopefully. And then I came over here to my topic center and said, hey, let's take a look. Let's see what we got here. So first things first, let me walk you through this page. You can create a new topic page. So you can do that clicking here. You can also click that here. And of course, search for a topic. It is a SharePoint site. So of course, what do you get? You get shared documents. You get your site pages. You get your site contents. That's going to be your container of all your documents and pages and lists. You've got getting started. This is actually brand new. I didn't even see this yesterday. Always trying to improve at Microsoft. So this is actually going to probably show you how do you drive adoption on Viva Topics. Going through building that center of knowledge. How do you share with everyone? Getting started on driving that adoption. So looks like just new things here. Getting started. I'm going to guess that these are all links out to Microsoft on how do you get started, how do you learn how it's discovered, and then how do you manage topics. So they're just adding more capabilities for you to get caught up to speed. Again, giving you some great videos to get ramped up. And now let's go to manage topics. So this is the area that you would, after you light it up, would actually create. We have first off the suggested. So you've waited your 2 weeks, you're now ready to go take a look. And it starts to show you all the suggested topics that it crawled throughout all your SharePoint online content. So important to note that SharePoint Online. Viva Topics is not being used in any of the on-prem environments. So as you can see here, it gives you names of things that it already thinks that would be of value for you. Again, this is artificial intelligence using the Graph API to deliver relevant content for you as a first draft. And draft means no one has access. Now it's up to you as a content author or editor to do something about it. So it shows you the discover date, some suggested people related to that particular topic word. And you can scroll down. Like I said, you're going to see in your environment hundreds, if not thousands. So they're going to be as relevant and in order by quality. So that's something that's just related to how well the Graph API connects the keywords to the files to the people. Now I have confirmed some already. So I'm going to go ahead and show you. I guess I'll walk you through how do you do that. Right here with the check mark is how you can confirm. If I wanted to do other things, I could remove, or I could just say, I think this is good, review and publish. And under the confirmed, I've got a few here. I've got some impressions. So impressions are number of times people have seen this, seen the topic. And mind you, when you're just doing a pilot program, it's going to be a very small amount. Obviously, only as many as people you are allowing to see. And then you've got something you can do, actually, I think in the suggested as well. You can click on it. So let's take a look at this first one that we haven't confirmed it, but we want to just take a look at what is the value add here. If I click on it, it already built the card. So it already used that AI. It's now saying it's a suggested topic. It gives you the account management console, which is a title. It gives you the description, suggested people, and as I scroll, suggested resources, and that includes sites and files. So those are the two things that you will be able to see. If I wanted to see it even more, guess what? It did already create that topic page for me. So think of the reduction of your SharePoint team and developing a knowledge management system. You no longer have to build these topic pages. You don't have to create the topic cards because it's built for you. You can if you want. However, this is almost already done. If I look at it, I see it and I'm like, oh, it looks good. I can go ahead and publish it. But remember, I said earlier, you can edit it. So let's do an edit. And let's say, you know what? These people are experts, but who the real expert is Alan. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pin Alan. And so now I've got 4, but I'm going to say, you know what, Lydia may have contributed, but she's moved on to another project. So now I can say, this is the pinned expert. Here's some suggested people that helped. I could even describe how Alan was connected. I can say, he is the president of the council. So far, no one has access to this but me. Go. And now I can go ahead and pin it, or it's automatically pinned, I guess, with that check mark. All right, I'll scroll down and I'll say, oh, this is definitely the first and most important file for this particular topic. I can pin that up here. I can scroll through. I can maybe add a SharePoint site name. I'm going to say that this is not related to sales and marketing, so I can remove that. And I could say maybe it is connected to something else, maybe another topic that's out there. I think it's wingtips. And it's connected because this is the console of the wingtip program. All right, so you can even build your own Graph API, so it will actually leverage that and understand that. And you can turn on comments. It is a SharePoint page, so if you would like to turn on comments, you certainly could. Now I feel pretty good, and I was able to edit this the way I want it to. Internally, we call this AMC. Now, a new onboarding employee would be like, are they talking about a movie theater or what is AMC? Now, if we have AMC that's used in any Word document, Teams, chat, SharePoint page, somebody says AMC, you no longer have to figure out what are they talking about. We have this term inside of Microsoft called no guessing. And that is really true for especially the Microsoft Technology Centers, is that we don't know your own organizational terminology. And certainly it'd be hard to identify or understand what ours are. That's true internally too. There should be a no guessing. AMC, I want to understand it, especially if it's maybe related to your own naming convention of some sort of committee or council that you have. So anytime that you can help people with alternative names, I would highly suggest. I'm going to go ahead and publish that, and I'm going to go ahead. Also, I can change the thumbnail and any other details. I'll publish that out. Now let's go back in and take a look at where that is located. If I go into Manage Topics, you can see here, we did not publish it. So it's important to note that we were on the topic page. We published the topic page. We did not publish it as a topic. So in order to do that, we need to go through the step-by-step process. Either one, confirm, or review and publish. Since we've already created it, we can go ahead and review and we can publish. So we see it here, and it should be published automatically. So when you're in the confirm state, a lot of that to me would be an area that you have people going to find out if all that's accurate, making sure that this is all the right data that you want to go ahead and share with everyone. And then maybe that group is not in charge of publishing. You may find that you may want to have a kind of a gatekeeper, if you will, on what topics do get published. And we've got publishing here, and you can see when things have been published, who they've been published by. And then of course, if you want to remove it. So for instance, it looks like there's really not a lot of impression on rainy air. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to get rid of it. So you have the ability, review, edit, republish. So you could certainly do that. I think the question came up earlier. What if there's new information? You can go ahead and edit that and add it again and then republish. I'll go ahead and remove. And then it will show up again. All these are about probably a few minutes to take to go from one section to another. But it looks like removed, that particular one, rainy air, is not located here. But you can see Project Titan is. Something to note here, you can actually review and publish again. So if they're sitting in here and you want to bring them back to life, you certainly can. So that's what the process is in developing these suggested confirmed, published, and removed topics. Now, if you wanted to do a new topic page, you can do that all on your own as well. So it delivers to you a template, if you will, of topics using SharePoint, and you can just start typing. So if I wanted to create my own, I certainly could. So that would be also very interesting when you think of new projects where there's not a lot of data points yet, but you want to start building the page around it. That would be a really great use case in delivering a great way that everybody can have access to it. And of course, if they have access to those files and they hover over the topic card, then they get access to everything. So really good way to keep everybody connected on the same page, especially when it comes to SharePoint. We know in SharePoint, when you go there, what do you get? You get the site, in your project site probably, but you then only get the files. And you don't know really who is who unless you create a web part of, here's your program manager, here's your this person, here's your that person. This actually will build it for you, and then you can add and edit as you see fit. Are there any questions before I kind of move into our roadmap around this? Okay, well, let me get out of here. Hopefully that gave you a pretty good overview of front end, back end as an admin, the automation portion that it delivers for you. And now let's take a look. What's going to be coming? And just like you, this slide was brand new for me yesterday. So I'm learning as we go because Viva Topics is so new, and there's so much to it. All right, again, I stole this from Chris McNulty, who shared it on Teams Day Online yesterday. So it is a valid product roadmap straight from the marketing and engineering teams. If you were to just take a look at Viva Topics, we did announce that being a part of the dashboard and topic management went GA in about Q2, I believe. We do support multi-geo, and we do have kind of controlling that visibility for those suggested topics. Now in Q3, we do and have announced that the Topic Center will be in as a Teams app. I'll not sure if I've even looked to see what that would look like, but that would be super interesting too. And now I've got some things that are going to be rolling out if they haven't rolled out already since Ignite. What you see is we've got topic highlights are in Yammer. So remember earlier I said you're going to see it in Teams, you're going to see it in SharePoint, you're going to see it in Word. Well, of course, we're going to add it to Yammer. And of course, we're going to add it to Outlook. So no matter where you are, those phrases, those topics will have that topic card capability. And then once clicked in, have that SharePoint page information a little bit more relevant and longer around that topic. And then, of course, topics and people profile cards within Bing. So that's going to be interesting. That would be new for me. That would be if we have topics, maybe in a title or a description. Imagine the program manager. They have now a link to their topic card around their project right in their people contact card. Super value added. And let's take a look. So it looks like topic cards are going to be coming to Teams chat next year. That means that when I start typing to you and I say things like AMC, we know that that's the console, automatically it will be underlined. So if you're like, oh, what's AMC again? You can click on it and see it and you're like, oh, okay, I totally understand what they're saying now. So really, really looking forward to that. There isn't anything special you need to do except type that word or that acronym. Enhanced Knowledge Manager, related topics, auto grouping, knowledge crawl for French, German, Spanish. So if you are in multi-language, not just multi-geo, but in the multi-language, you're now going to get that capability. Add external sources for graph content connectors. I was curious about that because I can't imagine that SharePoint's going to be the only data source for this. There has to be more because we know everyone has not just SharePoint, but they have other locations like ServiceNow. They may have their KB materials in there. They may have it in another platform. So that to me really makes sense. It's kind of exciting to hear. I wonder what we're going to start with, having external sources with the graph content connectors. The auto routing Q&A to suggested experts. So what we didn't see in my demo environment, because it's still being developed, but I have seen it in videos, that underneath the files area, like I mentioned earlier, you're going to have a Q&A area for community questions. And again, this is using all automation. When you ask a question, automatically it will go to the experts that you have highlighted at the top as a topic expert. Then once they answer that, it gets fed back through and retained that if somebody asks that same thing, the AI will answer that same question with that same answer. So some really cool things that are happening in that space. To me, I akin that to a Q&A bot, one of my favorite types of bots. So you can seed and store questions, answers, question answers, instead of the program manager or whomever is managing the project or the topic having to be bugged all the time about these same, frequently asked questions. Now, all those will be stored on the SharePoint page themselves. And then it looks like seeding new topics from syntax taxonomy. Well, that will be interesting. I'm really curious what that means. So I don't know if that's taxonomy as in like a term store taxonomy, or if it's going to be how it's going to be kind of a cross hybrid. So really interesting. I want to open it up to questions and give you a couple of links here around how to find more information. Of course, Microsoft.com/Viva, aka.ms/Viva Topics to learn more. And if you want to light up the trial, feel free to do so. And if you need more training, want to learn more about it, contact your Microsoft account rep. There is a plethora of information out there that we're posting all the time, as you just saw inside of the Adoption Center now in the Getting Started area of the Topics Center. Always adding on and always making it as rich, full of information as we possibly can. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and open it up for questions. Come off mute. We're a small group. I know this was a last minute session, so I just appreciate your attention and, of course, staying with me throughout the time. You see any questions out there, Connor?
I am not seeing any.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this, Connor. Is this something that your organization has looked at yet, or have you thought about lighting this up in your tenant and just seeing how it behaves and not giving access to anyone?
Viva Topics hasn't come up yet. We're well on our way with Viva Connections and Viva Insights. So I'm sure this will be next.
Awesome. I feel like that's where everybody's at. They kind of started with Connections. It certainly was a natural route because if you already have your intranet or a modern communication site, you can start using Viva Connections today. Insights is super easy because it's relevant. It's on your side rail. You guys can all go into it today. You can all go and check out Viva Learning today. Topics will be one of these things that it takes a lot more coaching, massaging, administrative control, perhaps, but really super interesting on where we're going in the future. Instead of this long onboarding experience, you now have it being pushed to you in this dynamic way.
Oh, we got a question.
Okay. Ernesto, you're my favorite. In the privacy area, can any topics be flagged as blocked or forbidden? In the privacy area, could you tell me a little bit more about what you mean in that?
If I may come out of mute. In the privacy area, in large organizations, we have a privacy office, and then we have the global IT or the IT admins, right? So if the privacy office can have some type of access to say, okay, we're going to be monitoring the topics that are going to be added by the authors, and say, okay, this is the blacklist of topics not to be created in the topic center. Is this something? Are there any plans for that?
Great question. I don't think in the way that you're thinking as flagged as blocked or forbidden, but certainly when I go over to manage topics, if the privacy department says, we got to get rid of that, as a SharePoint administrator or author of the topic center, you would then go in and say, ooh, shoot, we didn't want Trey Research to be out there. Let's go ahead. And now we can remove. So when I hit remove, it's going to go over to this remove pile and immediately be blocked for everyone.
Thank you. I also had a follow-up question, another question, another topic. No pun intended. Is topics going to be available in some form or type for frontline workers? Because normally topics has even it has a premium licensing, a premium tier. But also, if we want to use topics for frontline workers, which normally are an F1, is there any way to use it? Because, well, frontline workers have the kiosk capability or access for SharePoint. So are there any plans in there?
Yeah, that's interesting. My answer back to you is Viva Topics generally is a add-on license. So it's not a part of E5, it's not a part of E3, it's not a part of the frontline licensing. And so if you have frontline workers that are working and they already have SharePoint or they already have Teams, and you license them with Viva Topics, then of course they will see it. Now, kiosk mode or mixed mode will be the one that's interesting. I think if they use their identity to log into the kiosk, their identity will need to be licensed.
All right, thank you.
Yep, you bet. All right, any other questions? Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out with me. Let me give you some time back and maybe jumping to another track. Connor, I think, is going to close out, probably pick a winner. And thank you for your time. I appreciate you hopping on quick, short notice on this session change. So again, I'm Michelle, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, Michelle.
You bet.